Apple's newest iPad Air is actually 2 Airs, both with an M2 chip, twice the base storage of the last model, and now available with an extra 2 inches on the plus size screen. Which begs the question, what is Air if not the lightest weight and lightest duty device in a lineup? These latest Airs weigh in thicker and heavier than the equivalently sized iPad Pros. This Air is close to double the price of the base iPad and can be configured to 4 times the storage. And now every iPad can use an Apple Pencil. Sorry, Steve. With support for Pencil Pro, but base model cameras and no Face ID, could this year's iPad Air be an iPad Pro Lite? Creative Electrons X-rays show us this 13-inch Air has reconfigured speakers and a new camera placement, but who knows what secrets may lie inside. Getting into an iPad has always meant 3 things: heating, prying, and hoping. With a little squeeze from our anti-clamp, it's a lot easier. This should be a great starting point. The long edge allows for some flexibility, and the camera should mean less adhesive. And sure enough, we have liftoff. As I take my first blind stabs into this ultra-thin device, I can't help but wonder why Apple still doesn't have iPad guides as part of its repair program. This is just so hard. But maybe that's the answer. Apple says it's too hard for you. Rounding out our prying with the finicky far edge. Seriously, check out this adhesive. It is tough. We're finally able to reveal some cables. This teeny bracket is for the microphone and has an itty-bitty connector which disconnects with ease, allowing us to flip the screen and dispatch the display cables. Getting in was not easy, and you can imagine in a couple years when these guys need replacement batteries, this is one expensive piece of collateral damage. Speaking of batteries, could the iPad Pro's half-improved battery procedure fix a nightmare of a repair? I'm not holding my breath, but we do have pull tabs, so let's roll the repair dice. These tab ends aren't adhered to the battery, so that's nice, and these 5 super stretchy strips come out mostly intact. But again, these are fresh strips, and I can imagine the 11-inch has less room to maneuver. Whoa, that's a big one. And look, there's another under the battery board that just keeps going, and wow, so long. Holy cow, that's almost a minute of real-time peeling. The chasm between battery and logic board is tight. Once the strips are painstakingly peeled away from the side of the cell, it's do or die time. I'm feeling very much like I'm flying a Death Star trench run right now. It remains to be seen if I'm Luke or Red 6. I managed to get just enough of the strips out that I can pry up both cells, which isn't fun, but it's better than I expected. I didn't bother removing this battery connector screw since the contacts are so hard to interrupt even if I had, but here goes. And sure, the battery slides right out. This battery is slightly bigger and heavier than the 13-inch Pro, but manages just over 36 watt-hours compared to the Pro's nearly 39. Staying on target, let's pop the logic board out and take a peek. First off, an upper bracket and oodles of connectors. Coax cables, speaker cable, and more. Here's a few more antenna interconnect cables down the side. Front-facing camera bracket and connector, plus a cable for the pencil. Then we've got this little cable that was spared damage during battery removal, and you guessed it, more connectors. Oh, and let's get that camera out of here before we lose it. All right, break out the alcohol. This logic board needs some serious isopropyl action. Logic board removals will be mostly unnecessary given we can sneak the battery out from underneath it, so adhesive doesn't bother me too much as a fixer. As a teardown engineer, however, this board is packing serious heat. Tons of inbuilt storage and an M2 chip. Any chance we'll ever get upgrade doors like the Surface Pro X? I can dream, can't I? With the board out of the way, we can see the refactored pencil hardware. Is the camera to blame for the wider spaced magnets? We can't really say for sure. What now? Well, shall we crack the speakers open? They're much bigger than the prior Air and very thin. I'm guessing they'll be integrated into the case just like the Pro. And yep, it looks like these are just as irreplaceable. These driver magnets are stuck tight. At least we can pop out the main camera. Nothing special about the 13 inches main or front-facing cameras, same as they have been, but the Pro's main camera of course benefits from fancy flash, and its front-facing camera array has some extra Face ID hardware. So what makes an iPad Air airy? Well, everything you'd expect from a non-Pro iPad. Fewer features, a bit more heft, and that's about it. As for repairability, the 13-inch Air earns a 3 out of 10 on our repairability scale. Given Apple's miserable iPad repair track record, they don't even get a provisional point for spare parts or documentation. Here's a wild idea. If Air doesn't mean lightweight anymore, maybe next time it can stand for repairability. Imagine just a marginal increase in thickness, a battery that will last longer than 2 years. Now that is a product differentiator. Here's hoping and happy fixing.